Playing online and on smart devices. Now on London Scottie Radio, it's podcast time. I'm George Matlock. Hello and welcome to another episode of Scottie MOT. This is the good health and well-being show for Scottish Terrier owners. We're looking after the dogs in this case, but sometimes, we might even be pampering the owners as well. And certainly we hope reducing some of their anxieties when their dogs are poorly. Now, this week, I'm delighted to tell you we have back with us Jacky Ash from Ashgate Grooming and Kennels in Five Heads, Somerset. And a hello to you. How are you, Jacky?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you very much.
Great to have you back. Have you been busy in the last month?
It's getting busier and busier again now. We're getting into hand stripping season, so we're getting a lot of our regular customers coming back, and obviously we saw your dogs not very long ago.
Indeed you did. Indeed, this very week. Yes, indeed you did. Yep. So one thing I wanted to just to say very quickly, we had a lot of good, responses, good feedback from people about the last episode, which was on the dental topic. It was such a disappointment, unfortunately, that we had an audio problem that particular time, and there was no opportunity to re-record. But we did have the transcript from it, and I'm pleased to say that some people have already taken action because of what they heard during the programme.
Brilliant.
So that is really good. Yep.
Yes.
So we just had our walkies this weekend. We had the walkabout, the first of 2022. That was at the weekend, and we went to Green Park and St James's, starting at the Ritz Hotel, well, where else? And ending up as close as we could get to Parliament Square without actually tripping over protesters who are there in force because of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And that's the only mention of geopolitics you're going to get on this programme, I assure you. All right, let's back to the topic in hand. And so people were saying to us on the walk how they enjoyed that particular topic that was raised about teeth, and that they were already taking action. So that's really good, very positive feedback from people. And they were reading it, obviously, because the audio was just not possible for most people. But we're back today, and I'm pleased to say we've got a way, way better sound quality, so it's all good. Let's crack on with the programme. We've got some questions coming up in a moment from one of our members. But before we explore that, Jacky, I wanted to come to a topic that I guess is not foreign to you in the world of grooming Westies and Scotties, and that is nails. Mm-hmm. Let's start with that topic. Now, obviously, when dogs come in, they come in for a full groom. In my case, I also asked you to inspect the dog's teeth, which you kindly did. What about nails? Is that something? I don't know if that's something that owners often ask about, or is it something that you encourage, or you check them over anyway when the dogs come in?
Yeah, well, we certainly do them automatically with every single groom. It's really, really important that dogs' nails are looked after because they continuously grow like ours, but unlike ours, which will just get longer and longer, theirs curl round and can actually sort of penetrate into the pad. So even if you're doing a lot of pavement walking, it's still a good idea to keep an eye on on the dog's nails, and if you think they're starting to hook over, or you can hear them on wooden floors or on the floor, then it's time to get them trimmed.
Right, okay. Yeah, I mean, my two dogs, there's a lot of paving around here. Obviously, London, as you'd expect, most areas are paved. And so they do a fair few walks on those. Nevertheless, you always hear on the wooden surface floors tap, tap, tap as they go past. So a bit on the long side, I guess.
Not as necessarily. It's you need to check them because not all dogs walk correctly on their feet. It's a bit like humans. You get dogs with flatter feet, and you get those that are nicely raised up. So if they're nicely raised up in the absolutely correct position, then the nails will just touch the floor, and they will be grinding themselves down as you walk on those pavements. But if you're one of those dogs that's got a slightly flatter foot, or you're down on the pastern, which is just behind the back pad, you'll find then that the nails protrude slightly forwards, and that means that they can't be worn down quite as well on those pavements. So it's those dogs that we're checking for, and if you can hear that on the floor, it could just be, that they're absolutely fine, but it's just worth checking. Or when you go to the groomers, just make sure they are going to do them for you.
So what you're saying is that no two Scotties necessarily walk in the same way, is that right?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's exactly the same as we do. I will walk totally differently to you, and also my nails will grow at a different pace than yours, same as your hair will grow at a different pace than mine, and so there isn't a one fits all solution. But certainly every time they go to be groomed, those nails should be checked, and if they need nipping off, they just nip off, because one of the things that happens with those nails is that the vein inside, which is called the quick, will keep growing with the nail. So you may go to the groomers and they say, well, I've only been able to take off the very tiny end bit. Now that will be because the quick has grown down too far, and if we take them off to the level that they should be at, the nails are going to bleed. So we have to do it little bit by little bit, otherwise it's painful for the dog, and also it's just going to put them off. Each time they go, they're just going to get a phobia about having their feet touched and their nails cut.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and as you say, every dog is different, just like we are. Everything grows in a different way. They walk in a different way. I almost conjure up this image of that Monty Python sketch, the Ministry of Funny Walks. Actually,
yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay, super. Right. Well, that's very useful to know. Are there? Generally, are there any problems apart from the length of nails, which, as you say, needs to be monitored? Are there any kind of conditions that dogs get, any kinds of diseases or anything like that we should also flag?
Yeah, dogs get similar to we do, athlete's foot, which can affect the quality of the nail. They also, if you've got a dog that likes to chew its feet, which some just do from habit, there doesn't necessarily have to be a medical reason why they're doing it. The nails may start to split apart, and they start breaking a little bit. And if you see that happening, again, it's one of the things that, again, we look out for as groomers. We tell the owners about it, but because we're not medically qualified, we do ask them when they're next going to the vet, just to get the vet to quickly check them for, because there are blood tests that you can have done just to make sure that they've got enough keratin in their system to make those nails nice and strong. It's not common, but it can happen. So if it does, don't panic. It's just one of the things that they might ask you to add things into the dog's diet, for instance.
Sure, and as you said, they can also get athlete's foot, so presumably also the various types of fungal can be one of the problems with nails as well. Yes,
and I think it's those fungal infections which cause us the most problems, to be honest with you, because you get people coming in with. I know we're slightly going off the subject because it's also including feet, but that chewing or licking of feet because of a fungal infection or because of mites will have an effect on those nails. Yeah, it can't be good, for sure. Okay, well, that sounds like very savvy advice. Thank you for that, Jacky. Let's turn to the topic of that we received a question earlier in the week, and it came from one of the London Scotty Club's members. It's Holly, and she told us the very sad news that in February she lost her dog. Her dog is called Monty. Was a member of ours for, I think, a couple of years or so. Didn't come to any of our walks, unfortunately, so may not be somebody that other members will instantaneously recognise and remember. But I was always very... to me, this particular dog was very recognisable because the dog had certain ailments, which I'll divulge in just a moment. But before I do, always have this picture of the Scotty inside a shopping basket on a bicycle, because that's how the dog got transported around. As you probably gathered, Jacky, this is a question about mobility. Yes.
And so what this particular Scottie had was, at first, well, it had several ailments, which we will be exploring in an interview which the owner has kindly agreed to, which we'll be publishing in a week's time on London Scottie Radio. But for now, let's just look at the basics of what happened with the medication. So this is medication that Holly had for Scottie cramp and also for epilepsy. So this dog, basically, from a very young age indeed, had a whole, slew of problems, but was well looked after for the 12 years that Monty stayed with the family. So remarkable story, which we're really excited to looking forward to sharing with our members next week. But for now, there was a little bit of an SOS. So when Holly got in touch with me, it was first and foremost to ask whether I could give her any advice on what to do with the medication that was no longer required. This was medication for Scottie cramp, for epilepsy, for other things. Apparently, this medication is not cheap. It is very specialist. It's not like there are other breeds of dog that would have Scottie cramp, and therefore it's much harder to know what to do with the medication. I first advised her to try to see whether the vet would take the medication back, as happened in my case, where we didn't need some antibiotics, and the vet was actually happy to take back that part which was unconsumed and was clearly within expiry date. But in Holly's case, she was not so fortunate, and so she remained with a mountain of this medication and not knowing what to do with it. Any thoughts on your side about that?
Well, I'm quite surprised. I mean, first of all, obviously it's horrible to hear, that this dog's had all these problems through its life, but amazing that they've kept him going so long. I mean, well done. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. That's brilliant. I think this medication problem does come up. Most vets will take medication back for disposal. They won't reissue medication to other owners. And the reason that they don't want to do it is because they have no guarantee that medication has not been tampered with in some way. So they could then redispense that medication to another Scottie owner, and unbeknown to them, something could have happened to that medication. It could have been stored correctly. And that's the reason that a lot of them won't do it.
Yeah.
In the case of antibiotics, I think it's less likely. They're more likely to take it back. But these specialist medications, I can quite understand that they won't take it back. But it is a shame because that medication is then basically going to waste, which is absolutely criminal.
Yep, I couldn't agree more.
It could be helping somebody else, and particularly with the cost of these medications. You could have a Scottie out there that the owner can't afford the medication.
Exactly right.
And it is really sad. So I don't know the solution, I'm afraid, but I am aware of the problem.
So while we were preparing the programme, we've just had an email land in the last few minutes. It's actually from Kath Marchbank, who's the other presenter of Scottie MOT, who alternates with Jacky. Now, for those who know or maybe don't know, Kath is also the welfare officer for STEX, the rehoming charity for Scottish Terriers. And she's got in touch to say that, in fact, the best thing to do when you have specialist medication like this, which a vet won't take back, and it's always worth asking them, because if they will refund you, well, it's great, because this stuff is not cheap. But if they won't, or if all they're offering to do is to dispose of the medication, well, then there is another solution. So listen up, folks. If you have medication that has not expired, that is being kept in the right temperatures, out of direct sunlight, etc., there's a good chance that you can offer this to STEX. And Kath has said that if anyone has medication which they don't require any longer, please do donate it to STEX. STEX do have dogs on the waiting list who need the medication. Very often, indeed, as you were saying, Jacky, the owners cannot afford this medication, and it could be helping another Scottie's life to be that little bit better. So
that's fantastic news. That's
it is brilliant. So it's absolutely fantastic. So thank you, Kath, for your intervention, and I'm really pleased that there is an outlet for this. But I hasten to add, it has to be medication that is obviously within expiry, and has been kept as far as the owner can confirm, in a neutral condition. So it's not something that's been exposed to heat and sunlight and so on. Or frost, for that matter, at the other end of the extreme. Right. Well, Jacky, look, thank you very much for joining us on Scottie MOT today. And this programme, of course, going out on Fridays, every second Friday at 9 a.m, folks. So do listen out for this. And in a week's time, we will have a full interview with Holly about Monty. And indeed, as Jacky said, the remarkable story there of how from the very start, from puppyhood, this dog had ailments, and the owners did their very best, and clearly successfully, I might add, to look after poor Monty. So thanks again, Jacky. I wish you a great week ahead.
Yes, thank you. I'll speak to you all again soon, I hope.
Yes, in a month's time. It comes round faster than you want.
It does a bit, actually, yes. Well, hopefully it'll be a bit more spring-like then, and we'll be able to rejoice in the fact that it's nice and warm rather than this horrible wet weather we're having. Absolutely. This week has been a washout in London. Absolutely awful weather. And indeed, it was bad at the start of the week when I came down to see you in Somerset. And I guess it's just come over eastward, rather. And we've now been engulfed in it. But we understand that by the weekend, which is just around the corner, it will be sunny again. So something to look forward to. Okay, Jacky Ash, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to London Scottie Radio. This and all our podcasts are available online at londonscottie.club. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe to us from your favourite podcast player app. Also visit us on YouTube for fun videos. And if you have a Scottish Terrier in London or nearby, be sure to join us.